Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation. My presentation is about learning analytics to support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. My name is Mohammed Khalil and I am a senior researcher at the Center for the Science of Learning and Technology, SLATE, at University of Bergen from Norway. Please feel free to contact me on my website or my Twitter account or my email address. Unfortunately, like myself, I couldn't come to Spain to this conference because of the pandemic. But of course, I sent my greetings to Spain, even though it's not as sunny as this picture shows. But luckily, we had a couple of sunny days. But I hope that some of you or many of you could come to Bergen, and I'm really looking forward to go to Granada to visit my colleagues there and enjoy plenty of sun there. Okay, the agenda of my talk will be about what is learning analytics for people who don't know what is it all about, and why learning analytics, why do we need it, and how learning analytics meets and support Sustainable Development Goals. So to start up with, what is learning analytics? Learning analytics is an emerging field that started in 2011, and the formal definition of learning analytics is the measurement, collection, analysis, and reporting of data about learners and their context for purposes of understanding and optimizing learning and the environment in which it occurs. The field has started in 2011, as I said again, and it has emerging since then. It's still maybe not matured yet, but it has really grabbed a lot of attention recently. There is a formal conference called Learning Analytics and Knowledge, and it is an annual conference now, and has a lot of attention from many researchers from educational technology and technology-enhanced learning disciplines. So just to explain this definition is that when students use learning management systems, maybe some of you are aware of Moodle, are aware of MOOCs, are aware of Canvas, and so the students really leave a lot of information and a lot of data on these platforms, and usually this amount of data when collected, this can be a lot bigger data. This can involve their performance, they can involve their logins, their assignments, their clickstream data. It's really a lot of information per student. So if we imagine there are 10,000 students at the university in 1 year, and you can imagine when they log in, log out, and use all these variables or these functions inside the learning environments and how much of data they can generate. And this is just an example from virtual learning environments, but also it could also be combined with the usage of their electronic cards inside the campuses, or usage of the libraries, or any other kinds of, for instance, admission or other services at the university. And these big data, usually the information are scattered, are not connected together, but when we connect the information together, then we get the analytics. And if it's in educational context, then we name it educational and learning analytics. Some examples to show how learning analytics or how can we use learning analytics is that, for instance, these are some examples of tracking the students inside a virtual learning environment and looking at the time they spent inside the course, and look also at the level of engagement based on a week. Based on weekly logins and engagement inside the course, and then the instructor can know how his or her course is doing with the students and their level of engagement. So why do we need learning analytics? We actually need learning analytics for many reasons, but here I try to summarize them up into this is just a general aggregation of why learning analytics now. Learning analytics can help understanding human behavior of learning. It has always been based on surveys and questionnaires, but now there is a possibility to track students to understand how they behave inside the courses, how much time they spend on videos, how much time they spend on assignments, and how they do in performance, and compare that with the peers. So this is a new possibility to understand human behavior and their learning there. With learning analytics, number two, we can predict learning performance. So there are now many papers that take the previous experience of students and their logging, their logs, their information, and try to use algorithms to predict their future. And by that, we identify students at risk and create some warning systems. And so for that, for instance, the instructors or the administrators or the higher management can know how many students might fail, how many students might drop out, how many students might change their universities, or like some kind of maybe changing the behavior. So there are actually many examples to create warning systems. Number three, as I said, number two, with learning analytics, we can decrease dropout using interventions. So what if we identify and protect students who might drop, and then create an intervention to stop that? For instance, encourage instructors to speak to the students at a specific time and try to understand the problem, or maybe ease some kind of exams, or etc. Because at the end, we need always to help the students to pass and get their degrees inside the universities. I'm always referring to universities in this context, by the way, but it's also, of course, doable at schools. Number four is evaluate courses and give insights on how to improve future courses. Usually instructors create videos or do like blended courses, and they have a lot of resources on some place inside the virtual learning environment, but maybe they miss how students interact with his or her course. And using learning analytics, we could evaluate the course, and we could plan some improvement for the future. Number five is increase student engagement, and I have already talked about that. Number six is provide the possibility for students to compare with the peers. There is more possibility using technology in order to show the performance or the clickstream data between two students or a student with the other group, if we want to be more fair about that and not label students. And seven, last but not least, of course, is learning analytics can help manage institutional resources. Imagine the university invests a lot of time inside to create specific videos and a lot of resources to help kind of students, but depending on and looking at the data, we figure that this is not feasible. Then the institutions can identify the problem and locate the resources to another place to help and use it more efficiently. Okay, and now what about learning analytics and sustainable development goals, which is the main trigger of this presentation? Is that can learning analytics be stretched to support inclusivity? This is my point, is that can we, using learning analytics, support inclusivity? Then I say yes, because we can do that by involving disadvantaged groups, by looking at students with some issues, with some problems, who are not like as regular as the other students. Try to understand their needs, try to understand their behavior and help them. This is number one. Number two is helping to make education more equal and provide fairness and equal education to everyone through kind of evaluating learning strategies or courses designs, etc. And number three, support students with disabilities, and I will cover that in the next slides. So which sustainable development goals may learning analytics support? So I have been doing a kind of some research since early 2021, and I found out that learning analytics can meet some of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and support that. And I identify 4 of these SDGs. Number 1 is no poverty, and that is achievable through supporting disadvantaged groups of students by easing, for instance, accessibility in virtual learning environments. Is that not everyone have great visual or hearing senses, right? So with learning analytics, we could pave the ground for them to succeed and retain their education by easing the accessibility in virtual learning environments and support them with competences to support their work career, and by then we fight poverty. Number 2 is equal education, and that is achievable through learning analytics could support this action by promoting access to higher education for disabled students. This can be done by enabling learning analytics to support adaptivity that accommodates specific types of disabilities. And one excellent example is for color blindness or hearing impairment, where we can provide adaptive systems that can change the system to fit their need. For instance, increase the volume for students who have hearing, or change the colors of the content for people who have specific types of color blindness. And SDG number 10 is reducing inequality, and that is inclusion of marginalized groups of students. Learning analytics is not promoted to as a one-size-fits-all, but what fits one group may not fit the others. And the key word here is talking about adaptivity and personalization. I would say as explained in SDG 4. And number 16 is development of transparent institutions, and that is achievable through learning analytics. Is all about data collection, but now researchers are more open to be more transparent about their algorithms they use and make it available to the students and institutions and for anyone who might be interested in. And this is of course supporting having institutions more transparent about their policies and about their teaching and education. So that is all from me. It's around 12-13 minutes. Thank you very much, and I'm very happy to take any questions. Please just forward an email to me, and thank you very much, and hope to see you in person maybe next year. Thank you.